I'm not hearing anything.
Sorry for the inconvenience caused. I was on mute.
I'm able to hear now.
Okay. So let me welcome you again to Codeforce Chronicles.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm going to start the session again. And I want Swati to mute yourself if you have not muted. I'll shift to a place where you can hear me because my voice is getting echoed.
Yes, I am hearing.
Okay. Now let us start with today's session. And I'm sorry for the inconvenience caused. And today's session is about the interview questions which you will receive as an advance invitation, and it is related to the interview which you have to clear in Capgemini, especially if you're a Salesforce admin. Now, let me introduce myself. My name is Shruti. I worked as an assistant project manager, and later I worked as a Salesforce developer. Now I'm a Salesforce coach, and uh, I have overall experience of 5.9 years, including sales and service cloud as my forte. And when it comes to the reference which is quoted to me again, that I'm a Salesforce coach, I want to speak about the courses which are available. So if you want to join the self-paced course, it is for rupees 500. We have admin, developer and advanced developer courses. Self-paced means you can stay at home and you don't have to attend the live session. If you want my assistance every day, then you have to join the live sessions, which is for rupees 750. So the course is for 2 months, and you will learn a lot when it comes to admin, developer, and advanced developer courses. The details of the courses and my contact details are you can find the details in the description. Now, when it comes to today's session, let's head towards the first question. What is the difference between profiles and permission sets? When it comes to the profiles and permission sets, it is clear that the difference is part of the curriculum. That is, if the profiles and permission sets are together, that means profiles are used to inculcate the properties of the previous roles. When it comes to permission sets, it is an additional feature which will be part of the curriculum. Now, if you're part of the Salesforce Ohana community, and where I'm part of the accelerator program, and I understood that when we are part of any session in Salesforce, we should understand the first step towards success is to not quit. So I am part of a program which is helping me to understand the difference between the profiles and permission sets, because it helped me to understand during a session which I was part of, and I understood that it is just part of the session, but it made me realize that the session is only part of the curriculum because of the permission sets and the profiles which we have to add during the first phase of the project. So now, what are validation rules? Give one real example, real-time example. So when it comes to the real-time example, we can use the validation rules. That is the error message which has to pop up when we uh, have to understand the details or the reference which is part of the curriculum. That is, if you want the real-time example to be part of the curriculum, then the validation rule should be as the first step and not as a reference to any error that you receive. Now, the third question is, what is a workflow rule? How is it different from process builder or flow? I think we have discussed this in the previous videos, but I want to give a clarity on this topic. That is, if you are using workflow, you should be able to understand that if you make any updates, you should be able to differentiate the updates between the process builder or flow. So, workflow rule is used to update or create a task. For example, if you want to create a task, you can create a task. If you want to send an email, you can send an email. But how is it different from process builder or flow? My answer to this question is process builder is used to just send the updates or you can through an email. For example, uh, if you want to send an email at a particular time, you can schedule the updates. Even when it comes to flows, you can schedule the updates. But when it comes to workflow rule, we don't have the exact time criteria which is quoted where we have a triggered rule, but it doesn't work according to the process builder. When it comes to the process builder, you can understand the curriculum that is quoted to us, that is by the client, that you have to send the email based on the update and contact. But when it comes to a workflow rule, it is easy. You can just quote a time, whether it is a half an hour trigger. When it comes to process builder, we have the option. But the main difference between a workflow rule and a process builder or a flow is process builder or flow can update apex triggers as well. Okay, now the next question is, what are page layouts in Salesforce? Page layouts in Salesforce are the 360-degree view which we can inculcate in any standard process. And if we are able to understand that the standard process is part of the page layouts, then the Salesforce curriculum or the Salesforce platform will allow you to make changes in the page layout. What is a role hierarchy? Role hierarchy is just the inheritance of the curriculum, where we can understand that the role and the hierarchy is just part of the uh, uh, inherited properties. How do you restrict access to certain fields for specific users? We can restrict certain fields for the specific users by using the field level security. A user cannot see a record. What steps will you follow to troubleshoot? So, if a user is not able to see a record, we have to just open the manual setting criteria which we have quoted or the sharing rules which we have inculcated during the process. And this is the only way to troubleshoot the error because it is a field level security which you have to change. How do you automate sending an email when a record is created? This is the eighth question. So we can, by sending the email, we can, so when we are sending the email, we have to automate whether when the record is created, we have to put a criteria that the email should be forwarded. But if you want to automate sending an email, then we can use the flow builder where you can add the actions. How do you handle duplicate records in Salesforce? This is a simple question. This is the ninth question. It's an interesting question because when we had the duplicate rules, we have to add the rules based on the criteria which we receive as a forbearance in the articulation. That is, if we want to use the Salesforce platform, then we should be able to add the duplicate rules. If the duplicate rules work, then it is easy. I'm sorry about the interruption in the network. If you see the records, if you're able to view the records, then it is clear that the records are visible. But if you add the duplicate rules and if you understand that there is a record which is already present in the system, then you can handle the duplicate rules by accepting the rule or saving the rule. How do you migrate data from Excel to Salesforce? This is a very interesting question. It is related to data migration, and I'm an expert in data migration where you can understand the data loader is that the data loader is used to migrate or the Salesforce inspector is used to migrate the data. But when the Excel sheet is presented in front of the uh, uh, client, we should be able to upload the data in front of them. So the easiest way to migrate data is using data loader. What is a flow in Salesforce? This is the most important question. I want you to make a note of this question. Data flow or the flow in Salesforce is easy and it's available. And if you want to understand flow, we should be able to understand the entire curriculum of the flow. So flow is used to automate the process without using code. What are sharing rules? Sharing rules are uh, part of the curriculum where we can add the manual sharing and the manual sharing rules as for according to the uh, OWD settings, that is the organization wide default. So when you use the organization wide default, we can use the sharing rules and we can share the particular record, for example with a role. Okay. Now, if you want to use the sharing rule, you should be able to understand that there are groups which you can add and then you can share the rules. That is easy to automate the process. What is the difference between lookup and master detail relationship? So the lookup and the master detail relationship is similar, but when it comes to lookup, it has only one-to-one connect. That means there's one user who can view the record of the other user. When it comes to master detail relationship, they can add the role, add the record in the child relationship, and you can inculcate all the processes, especially cascade delete, where you can delete the entire process. That is the entire record, and you don't have to. I'm sorry about the interruption in the network. So, if the difference between a lookup and master detail relationship is that using the cascade delete, that is when you delete the lookup relationship, the entire record gets deleted. But when we use master detail relation, doesn't get deleted. Sorry, when it comes to lookup, it doesn't get deleted. When it comes to master detail relationship, it gets deleted. What is a report and dashboard? So report and dashboard are part of the Salesforce sales process and the service process. But when it comes to the sales process, the report is created and the dashboard is also created based on the statistics that we use. And based on the statistics, we will be able to create the dashboard where we can visually represent the reports based on the requirement. What steps will you follow before deploying changes in the production? This is the last question, and I want you to understand that when before you deploy any changes to the production, you should be able to deploy and validate the process, especially the code coverage should be more than 75%. And if you have used any validation rules or duplicate rules, it will get deployed, but only if you deactivate it and activate it in the production by adding the validation again. But if you want to deploy the validation rules, we should be able to use another tool like Jira, where you can test the process and we can, sorry, it's not Jira. Jira is for testing, but when it comes to another deployment tool that is ANT, you can use ANT for deployment process. But when it comes to Jira, it is used for deployment, but there are few cases where you can't deploy the entire process using Jira because it's a testing tool, but there's one criteria which you can add in Jira, that is by using the bug reference code as a deployment criteria in the statistics when you're uh, representing the uh, data in front of the customers. So now I want to end the session because I feel that I've answered all the questions. So if you like my channel, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Help me to reach 100 subscribers. And if you're attending any interview, you can refer to these questions. But especially when it comes to Capgemini interview, you should be able to answer all these questions. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me by either personally sending me a DM or by sending me a WhatsApp message, or you can even comment in this video. Okay, I hope you liked my video. Thank you. Have a great day.